You know, when I think about a film like Space Jam, I think of it as media that could possibly be one of the most polarizing films to feature animation in real-life sports, while also being one of the most divisive. From the ratings that this film received, either people see this as a glorified flop or a pivotal part of their childhood. But what if I told you there was a cartoon/sports partnership out there that possibly was better, or at least worth looking into? A partnership that wasn't cringe like what we see now.
I hate this channel. No!
A partnership that wasn't Space Jam related, or wasn't, well, still Space Jam. And most certainly wasn't Space Jam in a fighting game. Okay, well, as you've seen from the thumbnail, it was the NBA All-Star Slam. The time when Cartoon Network and the NBA joined forces for the first time ever. When I first saw that this existed, which was only this year, I immediately thought, how did I not come across this as a kid? The instant sight of seeing my favorite Cartoon Network characters dribbling basketballs, making jump shots, and interacting with real-life NBA players would have easily caught my attention had I have known about it at the time. The NBA alone is one of the most profitable sports organizations in the world, and Cartoon Network is a powerhouse of cartoon animation, so this on paper had to be a banger. But in its fullness, what is the NBA All-Star Slam Marathon? What did the bumpers consist of? And what all did this marathon have to offer? These are questions that I believe make this star-studded multi-year marathon worth looking into. But before I get into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on your bell notifications so that you do not miss out on any Murrayvation made content. And also, could you please subscribe? You know, it's my birthday month, November. I don't know. My birthday wish is more subscribers. Can you fulfill my birthday wish? Please. But I appreciate you regardless. Now on to the video.
Heads up, sports fans. Join some of the NBA's hottest stars for a 4-hour marathon of our sportiest cartoons. It's Cartoon Network's NBA All-Star Slam. Here and only here on Cartoon Network.
The NBA All-Star Slam was a Cartoon Network marathon special that officially aired on February 9th, 2003 and ran annually for a 4-year period. I mean, come on. Do I really need to explain the biggest aspect to all of this? The promos and bumpers featured characters from the cartoon blocks playing a Godzilla-sized game of basketball alongside the skyscrapers of Atlanta, Georgia. The cartoon shows as well as acquired shows would air throughout the marathon, all of which led up to the tip-off of the 2003 NBA All-Star Game on TNT. Watching Dexter's short behind attempt to reach for the ball, Eustace show off some handles while keeping a straight face, Johnny Bravo hit a flex pass, and Didi end off with a windmill dunk, it just makes me want to step on the court. You know what, as a matter of fact, I'm about to show you how I ball. I can ball. I'll be right back. I'll admit, got a little bit carried away. Moving on. As mentioned earlier, this marathon served a 4-year purpose, and I'll be going over all 4 years of its existence, starting off with 2003. In 2003, the marathon aired from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. and featured some of the NBA's most notable players at the time. Some of the likes of Sean Marion and Stephon Marbury from the Phoenix Suns, Theo Radcliffe from the Atlanta Hawks, and none other than Shaquille O'Neal from the LA Lakers. The style of some of these bumpers were in the form of interviews in which the NBA players were asked about their favorite Cartoon Network shows and characters. Not only would they show episode clips of the mentioned character, but some of the characters themselves would actually talk and interact with the NBA players, kind of like them interacting with their childhood hero or childhood crush. In addition to that, the NBA players would have highlights of their own shown as well. Now, I could go into detail about how some of these interviews went, but I think it'd be better if I just showed you a clip.
My favorite cartoon character of all time, Godzilla.
Join
satellite from Osaka, Japan, is Godzilla. You, Shaq?
Nice meeting you too, Godzilla. Now stay tuned for an episode of my favorite cartoon character, Godzilla.
For that year, in total, there were 13 interviews that were recorded between the NBA players. Supposedly, out of the 13 interviews, only 5 of them were actually found on YouTube, deeming the rest as lost media. Other interviews of the NBA players featured other mentioned shows like He-Man, Looney Tunes, The Flintstones, Scooby-Doo, and the Powerpuff Girls. Also, I think it's worth mentioning that being this marathon debuted on February 9th, 2003, it was most likely present during the Powerhouse era, which would explain why the cartoon characters appeared in the bumpers. Now you might be asking yourself, out of all the big sports leagues Cartoon Network could have associated themselves with, why the NBA? Why not the NFL, the MLB, or NHL? Well, you gotta look at it like this. In my personal opinion, basketball is a bit more understandable for a child or for kids to watch and understand, versus watching football or baseball or hockey and trying to understand those sports. Also, you might not be an NBA fan, but you might be a Cartoon Network fan. So in that case, wouldn't you want to see the network grow its fan base and reach a broader audience? And there's no bigger audience than the audience of an NBA or NFL one. And this would be a way of Cartoon Network digging from another pool of fans and exposing them to something they might like, which could be cartoons. And who's to say the NBA didn't reach out to Cartoon Network first? Just something to think about. But yeah, that basically wrapped up the first year of the marathon. Pretty simple ideas as far as the interviews and bumpers go, but effective nonetheless. I thought it made a good first impression and honestly was appealing. Until next year came around, 2004. 2004 came around and the marathon will reappear on February 15th, 2004 from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. And this real deal might be my favorite year out of its 4-year existence because the marathon will show more of its ambition and creativity with better bumpers, content, and even the selection of NBA players. This era featured 11 NBA players in total, which was fewer than the previous year. The marathon seemed to do away with the interviews of the NBA players and featured them in vignettes, with majority of the cartoon characters interacting with them on the court. The 11 NBA players that were featured in the bumpers, along with the Cartoon Network characters, included Steve Francis from the Houston Rockets and Kenyon Martin from the New Jersey Nets with Ed, Edd and Eddy. Corey Maggette from the LA Clippers with the Mayor of Townsville, the Wonder Twins, Billy, Mandy, and Grimm. Karl Malone from the LA Lakers with Johnny Bravo. Carmelo Anthony from the Denver Nuggets with Dexter. Malik Rose from the San Antonio Spurs with Mandark. Elton Brand from the LA Clippers with Mario Bag.
LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James.
From the Cleveland Cavaliers with the Kids Next Door. Shaq from the LA Lakers still appears in these bumpers as well. Jason Kidd from the New Jersey Nets. And Ben Wallace from the Detroit Pistons. The other type of bumper that was added that year featured the mascots of the NBA teams and the CC characters also in mascot form. Some of the bumpers exclusively featured the NBA mascots, some only the CC characters, and some included both, with all of them involved in some shenanigans on the court. Honestly, I did enjoy seeing these types of interactions because to me, it made sense. Who's the most charismatic person on the basketball court? The mascot. Who are the most charismatic people on television? Cartoon characters. So these pairings were fun to see considering the CN characters were stepping into the NBA's neck of the woods. And with the bumpers that featured the NBA players, I thought they played along well, knowing they essentially were doing these bumpers by themselves. To see the KND, the Eds, and several other CN characters act their usual selves with real life athletes, honestly it was a nice dynamic to see. The NBA players didn't feel overshadowed by the CN characters' infectious charisma, and the CN characters didn't feel upstaged by the NBA players' sheer height and athleticism. As I said, a great dynamic.
And then go to cartoonnetwork.com for a game of Toon Hoops. That's right, sports fans. Toon Hoops lets you play one-on-one basketball using some of your favorite cartoon characters. He shoots, he scores!
Don't miss Cartoon Network's NBA All-Star Slam.
And make sure you check out Toon Hoops on cartoonnetwork.com, only on Cartoon Network.
My favorite aspect to the marathon, however, would have to be the addition of Toon Hoops. Toon Hoops was a computer game on cartoonnetwork.com that featured various CC characters playing one-on-one full court basketball against each other. The playable characters featured Dexter, Buttercup, Courage, Mandy, Number 4, and Eddie. Just like traditional basketball, the goal was to score more points than the opponent within a certain time period. The biggest highlights
That's nasty.
The biggest highlights to this online game, other than CC characters lacing up for a game of b-ball, I would say is number 1. See what I did there? All 6 playable characters had an individual attribute about them that gave them a specific advantage over the other. Dexter was a great 3-point shooter, Buttercup had a speed advantage, Courage scored 2-pointers well, Mandy was great at forcing turnovers, Number 4 had a slightly above average advantage in every skill, and Eddie could block shots well. And Number 2, and more importantly, each character possessed a super move that allowed them to score 5 points on their opponent no matter the location on the court. The appealing part to the super moves were the animations played, which the CC characters performed a flashy move, which led into a jump shot or dunk. The game also featured a tournament mode and 2-player mode if you wanted to play with a friend. Now listen, this is why I say Cartoon Network missed out on the opportunity of making this an absolute banger of a game. When I look at a game like this, I can't help but think this was only made because of the NBA Marathon. Basically a gimmick game, a one-time deal if you will. While this may not be a surprise to anyone, and yes, Cartoon Network is known for making gimmicky games, they're no stranger to great online games. And I can definitely say what holds this game back is its tight character selection. 6 characters no matter what game you play can appear like there is a lack of variety. Like, where's the rest of the CC characters? Why is it referred to as periods rather than quarters like actual basketball? Why are there only short characters that are playable when basketball is known for having tall players as well? These are questions that I think make the game fall short of amazing, but I do understand having to make more unique attributes, more super move animations, and so on. Also, the game, as far as presentation goes, was very 2004 for lack of a better term. Not really polished enough to be considered amazing by today's standards. I tried seeing if the game was still playable today, but I couldn't get access to it. However, there appears to be spin-offs of it based on the gameplay mechanics. I will say this game accomplished one thing. It absolutely tapped into the younger demographic of kids that were basketball and or cartoon fans. And from what the YouTube comment suggests, this game was an absolute blast for kids of that year, and that's what matters. So for as many criticisms that I can give on the missed potential of this game, it did what it needed to do in being fun and attracting basketball fans to Cartoon Network and vice versa. And that's the whole reason for this marathon existing in the first place. For this year of the marathon, I thought Cartoon Network came with a lot of cool ideas for the bumpers, more charisma shown amongst the NBA players, and a nice addition of a computer game for the kids to chew on. And that sums up the second year of the NBA All-Star Slam Marathon. A very creative year in my book. But will Cartoon Network top that year and add more content for 2005? Well, the funny thing is, it's not even close. 2005. The marathon will reappear on February 20th, 2005 from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Honestly, I tried researching all of what 2005 had to offer. There isn't much of that is explained about it, other than a mention of some NBA players featured in the marathon and episodes of Foster's Home and Atomic Betty being aired back to back. The fact that there's not even details or footage on the NBA players involved that year makes it not only disappointing, but also evident that found footage for this marathon is still ongoing. Unfortunately, I can't really comment much on this year, and by default makes this the worst year of the marathon from a research standpoint. But surely the last year of the marathon will end with a bang, right? Right?
Bloobity blue blue blee blee blah shri shra.
The NBA All-Star Slam Marathon will air for one final year on February 19th, 2006 from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Once again, no media has been found for this year outside of details like Tommy Snyder and Tara Sands from Cartoon Network Fridays being featured along with some NBA players and episodes of Ben 10 being aired. Once again, I can't really comment on media that has yet to be found, but just solely based on who was involved, I do rank this year slightly above 2005. Now, it is unknown why the NBA All-Star Slam Marathon only lasted a total of 4 years. However, for what it offered and provided, it served its purpose and was discontinued, only to never be seen again. The NBA All-Star Slam will re-emerge in the form of the NBA All-Star Jam, and basically acted as the resurrected form of its previous version. The All-Star Jam was an event that aired from 2015 to 2017, and in 2016 featured 4 guest NBA players in fan-favorite animated series of Cartoon Network. The 4 NBA players, along with the shows they appeared in, included LeBron James from the Cleveland Cavaliers in Teen Titans Go, Kyrie Irving from the Cleveland Cavaliers, Paul George from the Indiana Pacers, and Damian Lillard from the Portland Trail Blazers all appeared in an episode of We Bare Bears. But as far as specifics go for each year of the event, that has yet to be revealed. For decades now, we've seen many different partnerships between animation companies and sports organizations. While many consider Space Jam to be the best out of the bunch, purely based on its nostalgic aura, the NBA All-Star Slam, I think, serves as a strong second, if not better. The marathon had star power from the NBA players to the CN characters, and it honestly made for good television. Where the marathon falls short is not only its underutilized computer game, but also its ongoing search for footage of its later years. And if I'm being honest, no matter how many of these partnerships we see, whether that be the All-Star Slam or Slime Time, the sheer nostalgic force and star power of Space Jam might make it the best alliance we've seen of an animation company and a sports organization. Nonetheless, I had an absolute blast watching the bumpers for this marathon, and it makes me wonder what other special blocks are out there of Cartoon Network's overabundant collection. We'll just have to see what else is out there. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and comment down below. Do you remember seeing this marathon? Are you a fan of sports animation company partnerships? Let me know down below. Once again, thank you. God bless you. I'll see you in the next video, and don't hate, motivate.
Puppet down, down.
Bye, Dexter.